How dare I even suggest that Steel Vengeance is overrated? Since this roller coaster opened in 2018, it has taken the entire coaster community by storm. The reviews have ranged from amazing to ultra extreme unicorns. Sure, there has been a few naysayers, but we all assume that they're just trolling the coaster nerds on social media while secretly worshipping the shrine that they have made to Stevie in their closet. Well, now that I've been riding this roller coaster for 3 years, I thought it would be fun to revisit this glorified attraction and see if it still ranks as high as I originally had it. Presentation. This was the only damning category against Steel Vengeance. In my original review, I really wanted to give this coaster 10s across the board, but I couldn't overlook some minor details. Many thought I was nitpicking, but this is a review and that's what I'm supposed to do. My original score was an 8, which I think is still a fair score. During the 2018 season, whenever I visited the park, I purchased the Fast Lane Plus, so I never actually waited in the main queue. Well, this year I got to spend a little bit more time in the full queue and notice some more theming that is scattered throughout the line. It's not a lot, but little nuggets of information to read, something to pass the time since you're not allowed to bring your phone onto the ride or into the queue. The station has always been my biggest gripe when it came to presentation. Cedar Point reused the Mean Streak station, which is resourceful, but not fulfilling for your main attraction at the park. When compared to the other roller coaster stations throughout the park, especially looking at the marquee attractions as it were, I'd argue that Steel Vengeance Station is the most bland. In the end, presentation only really affects the rider to the degree he or she will let it. I think moving the score up to a 9, especially when considering that this is an amusement park, sounds a fair decision. Ride intensity. The original score was a 10, and I gotta be honest here, I overranked this category. I know many will fight me on this, but I think Steel Vengeance isn't deserving of a 10 rating for ride intensity. The coaster is crazy for sure and offers a ton of airtime, some really intense airtime, but I wouldn't put it on the same level like Top Thrill Dragster, Intimidator 305, Millennium Force, or even a solid G packing invert. According to Alan Schilke, he likes to design his coasters for re-rideability, so strong positive Gs usually deter multiple rides in one day. Steel Vengeance has the right balance of fun and intensity to make this a coaster that is non-stop thrilling, but not enough to keep me from hopping right back in line. I know many of you will argue with me on this point, but I'm sticking with my guns. I just don't look at intense airtime in the same light as strong positive Gs you would experience flying through that first turnaround on I-305, or watching your face peeling off during the launch on Top Thrill Dragster. To me, when a coaster is intense, that's when I start to experience the fear. I don't experience any moments like that on Steel Vengeance. Actually, you'll just hear me laughing my head off like the Joker during the entire ride. Just ask Rampaging Rex, he'll tell you all about it. My new score will move down from the perfect 10 to a 9 rating. Fun factor. This score is obviously not changing. I still believe that Steel Vengeance is one of the funnest roller coasters on the planet. As I previously mentioned, it has the perfect balance of fun and intensity to make this a perfect coaster, or near perfect coaster. Airtime fanatics will eat this thing up. Steel Vengeance is almost solely about the airtime. Now there are more elements to enjoy besides airtime, like the inversions and all the near collision moments while flying through the ride structure. But you don't come to Steel Vengeance for inversions, no, you ride it for the airtime. I can't not have a good time on this thing. It's pure fun. The way the pacing keeps mixing things up throughout the ride is truly stellar. The first third of the ride is long, sustained moments of airtime. The middle part hits up some strong pops of ejector while throwing in some inversions. The final portion of the ride, flying through the structure, is like its own ride by itself. To all my Star Wars fans out there, Disney will provide you the most immersive Star Wars experience, but Steel Vengeance will still be the closest you'll feel to flying in an X-Wing or Millennium Falcon through the Death Star. Originality. I think every coaster enthusiast was enthralled by Steel Vengeance during its construction. Watching this massive roller coaster emerge out of the disastrous ride that was Mean Streak was breathtaking. I couldn't believe that this roller coaster was actually being built. Up until Steel Vengeance, almost every conversion was a shortened ride, but a better experience to its predecessor. Steel Vengeance not only outdid Mean Streak in thrills, it managed to outdo Mean Streak in every ride statistic. The giant Outer Bank turn was something we never saw before, to the scale anyways. Steel Vengeance was, and still is, the coaster representation of cranking it up to 11. With no surprise, Originality keeps its original score of 10. Ride smoothness. It's only been 3 coaster seasons, but Steel Vengeance is still butter smooth as the first time that I rode it back in 2018. Rocky Mountain Construction knows how to build their rides to keep them smooth and enjoyable for the unforeseen future. There's really no point in dragging this category out any longer. Steel Vengeance keeps its 10 rating for ride smoothness. Well, the new final score is 9.6, meaning, well, the final score really didn't change overall. I've upped the presentation category and dialed back the ride intensity, but that still balanced everything out. You could argue that my point system is flawed, which is why Steel Vengeance can't get that overall perfect 10 rating, but I gotta stick with this score. Steel Vengeance isn't the perfect coaster. There are some aspects, very minor aspects, but issues that could be resolved to make this the technical 10 rated coaster. My rating system is almost designed to keep a coaster from earning a perfect 10 technical score, but that's why I created my overall personal score. In fact, Steel Vengeance is the reason why I started including my personal score. I realized after ranking Steel Vengeance, I needed to provide another score that wraps up how I personally feel about the ride, and not based on my technical scores I give the ride based on certain categories. I know that some would simply do away with a presentation category, while others, including myself, really think that presentation is an important aspect to any attraction. With that said, my personal score will be a 10. Steel Vengeance is still ranked in my top 3 and most likely my #1 favorite roller coaster to date. This year, I got to ride Steel Vengeance in the rain, which really brought a whole new experience to the ride. Getting pelted in the face by raindrops while flying 70 miles an hour isn't something I would recommend, but at the same time, you gotta experience it for yourself. It's half the reason why I was laughing uncontrollably during my last ride on this coaster. Now, to answer the main question of this video, is Steel Vengeance overrated? I might be inclined to say yes, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think this roller coaster has been revered by so many that anyone who would ride this coaster for the first time now might be a little underwhelmed. When an attraction gets hyped for so long, it really only leaves one option, and that's to be somewhat disappointed. I can relate to that feeling with Voyage. I heard so many good things about the ride that I don't think that the roller coaster could ever live up to the hype that I built it in my head. This doesn't mean that the ride is bad, no, far from it. I've yet to hear anyone say Steel Vengeance is a dud, but I have heard a few express their letdowns after 3 years of hype. I think if you can avoid the hoopla that goes along with any new major attraction, you can walk away feeling more satisfied in the end. Steel Vengeance is still the king of coasters, and yeah, I don't think Iron Gwazi will be taking that title away. But there's this dinosaur down in Florida that might give Stevie a run for its money. Well, thank you for watching today's video. What do you think of Steel Vengeance? Is it overrated? Let me know all about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, click on the like button and subscribe. That way you can continue to enjoy the content coming your way by XscreamThrills.